Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel, and today I thought I would do my complete set review for Phantasmal Flames, which does, of course, come out very soon, and the set is pretty good in my opinion. There's a lot of strong cards in the set. It's a very small set, but I'm still excited to break down why I think these cards in the set are good. The cards are going to shake up the game and the format quite a bit, and pretty excited for the set to drop. Even if it is a smaller one, the set will still be pretty good regardless. I'm definitely excited to get into all of it here. If y'all are new here to the second channel, make sure to subscribe down below. I haven't done a set review in a while, so I'm excited to get into another one here. I'll leave a link to the site I'm using, Pokemon Proxies, which has the full set list down below. I use the site for a lot of my shorts and TikToks and stuff. So let's get into the set review now and talk about the set. So, of course, we'll start off with the Grass-type Pokemon. We got this new Vileplume coming out with Lively Flower. If this Pokemon gets healed, you can do 180 for one Grass. Nothing very special there. Just kind of a pretty boring card. But the new Heracross is a lot better. Mega Heracross is the first Mega we're going to be looking at. Within the set, it does have the attack Panzerhorn for 2 Grass Energy. Does 100 damage. If this Pokemon was damaged by an attack last turn, this attack will do that much more damage. So if your Heracross takes like 200 damage, you're effectively then going to be doing 300 damage back at your opponent, which is actually really strong. This is a really unique attack. It's very similar to like Enzork and Archaludon EX, where you're just not trying to attack them because you don't want to walk into a big swing attack from them. And that is exactly what the Mega Heracross does. And then it's got the attack Mountain Thrust for 3 Grass, just 170 damage, and then discards the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. These type of attacks aren't bad. Milling the top 2 cards is really strong, in all honesty, and this card definitely isn't too terrible. It's a little mid overall, but I think that it is playable. There is a lot of fire support in the set, though, which will probably hold back the potential of Mega Heracross. You know, a lot of weakness is going to be coming up with this new set, but this card's like fine. I think Panzerhorn is decent, and there is some cool things you can do with it, which is why I think it's not bad. New Ludicolo here, the Excited Healing. Once your turn, if you have a Grass Mega Pokemon EX in play, you can heal 60 damage from one of your Pokemon. You can, of course, combine this with Mega Heracross to give your Heracross a little bit of healing and some damage. I guess that's like the main archetype with Heracross that Pokemon printed. Was like, hey, Mega Heracross is good. Let's combine it with Ludicolo so you can heal your Mega Heracross. Because the healing doesn't affect the damage output you're doing. You're still going to be doing a lot of damage regardless of healing. It's the same thing, right? You take 200 damage, you heal 120 with 2 Ludicolos, you're still doing the 200 damage, which is cool. So it's not bad, but you do need a Grass Mega Pokemon in play, right? So we got a new Genesect. This card seems decent with Meganium. It's got the attack Bug Cannon. Choose one of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack does 20 damage to it for each Grass Energy attached to this Pokemon. This could be pretty strong, like I said, with Meganium, because you're able to put some Grass Energies on it. If you use Meganium's ability, you're doubling the energy on it, allowing you to snipe stuff for like 80 to 100 damage with Bug Cannon. So you're knocking out little guys on the bench as a one-prizer. It's kind of like a Baby Raging Bolt for the Meganium decks, making the Genesect actually kind of decent in my opinion. Not bad at all. I guess also to know you can play Heracross with Meganium too, obviously, which is probably what you're going to use, right? So it makes it easier to use Panzerhorn and Mountain Thrust, which makes sense. New Lokix here with the attack Jump Shot, 150 damage for 3 colorless energy. Shove this Pokemon, all cards attached to it, back in your deck. I think this does work with Ignition Energy, so you can actually put the Ignition Energy back into the deck alongside the Lokix. It reminds me of the Behemoth we had that did the same attack, but item locked them at the same time. That card existed with Triple Energy, so there's a little bit of synergy there with Lokix. So I think this Lokix is like kind of decent. It is a Grass type, which isn't bad, so if you put a damage mod on it, like a Brave Bangle, you're knocking out Charizards and Grimmsnarls in one hit while going into like a Cornerstone or a Mimikyu or Crustle probably even too, which is cool. Also to note, we got a new Charmander, new Charmeleon. This Charmeleon does seem to be a good card because of its HP. We have a Charmeleon in the format with 90 HP, and we have a Charmeleon in the format with 100 HP. Now we have a Charmeleon with 110 HP. This will probably be the best one to use instead of the 100 HP one. The 100 HP one does have an attack that actually is not bad with Max Belt against like other as a one-prize attacker, but this one is probably the best Charmeleon. Just the HP will matter in the long run against Devo and Monkey Dories and stuff, so it makes sense that you'll have to start playing this Charmeleon because it has most amount of HP. Unfortunately, you probably won't use Charmander. It actually is really good. It's got an ability where it has a Fruit Tree with no energy on it, which is actually really strong. The problem is you can't Poffin for this card, so not being able to Poffin for your Charmander seems pretty bad. Like, imagine if you prize a Charmander, you play one of these, and you prize a Charmander. You have 2 in the deck you can search with Poffin, and the other one you just can't find that easily because you're not really playing that many Nest Balls. You might have an Artisan in the deck, sure, but for sure I think you'd still rather play the Steady Fire Breathing one. we got the new Mega Charizard X EX here. This card obviously is the main kind of selling point of the set. It is a very powerful card with Inferno X that does 90 damage. Discard any amount of fire energy from all your Pokemon, does 90 damage for each card discarded in this way. So it's like basically Raging Bolt, but does more damage. 90 times is a great multiplier. I mean, with 3 energy discarded, you're doing 270 damage already. 4 energy is like a knockout on most big Pokemon. Charizard is, of course, evolving from Charmander, so you can pair this with the Charizard EX we already have in the format with Burning Darkness and Infernal Rain. So you have a way to actually get energy on the board already, and also you have a Dark Attacker to help against Scardy, and you get that late game beat stick with Burning Darkness. So Mega Charizard X is a great partner for the normal Charizard decks. Also, keep in mind this card does attack Cornerstone Ogerpon, which is another main selling point behind playing it. And I guess we'll just skip ahead to the Oricorio, because this is going to be how you're going to play the Mega Charizard X. It's got the ability Excited Turbo as often as you like during your turn. If you have any Fire Mega Pokemon EX in play, you can use the ability attach a basic Fire Energy from your hand to one of your bench Fire Pokemon. So like I said, this is how you're building up your Mega Charizard X. So you're going to use Oricorio. Oricorio's ability will be live with your Mega Charizard X in play. You're going to put a bunch of energy in play, and you're going to do a ton of damage. So the Oricorio EX Mega Charizard combo is how this deck is going to function. And even if you're playing this within the Charizard EX Mega Charizard combo deck, you still want to use your Oricorio. Like I said, it's still going to be good to have in the deck. And also, there's more fire support in the set. Like, for example, this new Moltres, which I think is a very powerful card. It's got Fighting Wings that does 110 damage if your opponent's active happens to be an EX. This is actually so insane. This card can attack through stuff like Cornerstone Ogerpon. You're hitting for weakness versus Teal Mask and Genesect, which is insane because you're knocking them out. With a Brave Bangle or a Defiance Band or a Max Belt, you're one-shotting Goldango EX, which is also really strong. This Moltres is amazing. Like, even if you're not playing it within, like, a Charizard deck, this card seems really good in stuff like Dragapult. Seems decent in any deck that uses Luminous Energy. Like, this card is really splashable, and because it really does help swing some of the matchups into, like, Goldango quite a bit, it's really strong. I've seen people play this within Dragapult to help against Dango. I've seen people play it within Grimmsnarl and even Enzork. Just having a way to attack a Goldango for weakness is really good. This is such a strong card. And yeah, I mean, this Moltres is great. This is a really good card. It could even replace Chi-Yu in Charizard decks. That's how good this Moltres really is. It is very, very strong. We got a new Darmanitan here with Blazing Ball. This 40 plus 4 damage for each Fire Energy on this Pokemon. You can play this in your Mega Charizard EX or Choreo deck, but it seems kind of mid because, I mean, you have to be on the bench. You can do a lot of damage, I guess, but only 150 HP. It's not really like tanking a hit, but it could be a fun Bad Deck Friday deck in combination with the Oricorio. New Reshiram One Prizer here with Burning Flare. 4 fire, it is 240. I mean, it's like actually not bad. It is another wall breaker. You can use with Oricorio. I don't know if it'll actually see play, though. It does do a lot of damage, so if it does see play, it's just because it actually hits pretty hard. Burning Flare doing 240 is definitely not too shabby at all. We are getting a new Charcadet here, probably the optimal Charcadet for Ceruledge, because it does have an attack that gets you 2 fire energies, which obviously will help ramp up your damage really quickly. But also, Ceruledge gains a 1 prize Ceruledge, which is also really, really good. This card is fantastic for the deck. It does have the attack Purgatory Slash. For 1 fire, it does 220 damage. Discard 4 basic fire energies from your hand, or the attack does nothing. It's honestly not hard to get fire energy in your hand for the attack because we get a new supporter card that lets you get energy. Also, if you're playing this within the Ceruledge EX deck, I mean, you're already playing like 20 energy. You just got to play a bunch of fires, and you can easily pull off Purgatory Slash. This card is very good for the deck. It's a 1-prizer. You can make a 1-prize board save with this card. It knocks out big basic Pokemon, and it attacks Crustle, which is something that the Ceruledge EX deck struggled with, was dealing with Crustle, but now there's a way to one-shot a Crustle. This card is good for Ceruledge. Big upgrade to the deck for sure, and definitely is strong. I mean, honestly, it could be its own deck too, which is kind of crazy, just because it does so much damage. New Dugong here, unfortunately, isn't too good. We do have a new Mamoswine here with the attack Wreck. Does 240 if there's a Stadium in play, and then you discard it. For 3 energy, I mean, it's not bad, but I mean, this card is just very mediocre. You're just never really using it in any competitive sense. But we have Mamoswine EX, so we got a good Mamoswine. New Suicune here with Crystal Force. Does 30 damage. If you have 3 or more Water Energy in play, it does 90 more damage. I mean, it does 120 for 2 energy, but like, even if you're playing this within Baxcalibur, 120 damage isn't good. It's not one-shotting Crustle. It's like very mediocre. I don't think this card is that good. I mean, Baxcalibur literally does more damage than Suicune, which tells you everything. It's like a very fine card, but I just don't see it in play. Because you also need 4 energy in play. Just to do 120? No thanks. We are getting a brand new Piplup and Primplup because there's a new Empoleon, but the Empoleon is not a water type. New Rotom EX seems good for Rotom Tool Drop with multi-adapter. Your Pokemon with Rotom in their name may have up to 2 tool cards on them. That's pretty good. We have a bunch of Rotoms in the format that have the attack tool drop that is 30 damage for each of your tool cards in play. So now you can double those tools to do even more damage. The Rotoms also have decent typing. There's a lightning one, a fire one, a grass one, a water one, which can all hit for weakness in certain matchups. So kind of becomes like a weakness hitting deck while also being able to do some bigger damage with the ability. So Rotom EX upgrades the Rotom tool drop deck quite a bit, makes the deck a little bit more playable. I don't think the deck will be like that good in all honesty, but it does make the deck a lot stronger for sure. I think that it will be a little bit better. We have a new Pawmot, does 130 and then 60 damage. His Pokemon, you can paralyze your opponent's active. This attack is actually really strong. Not a lot of decks right now are respecting like Retreat Lock and Paralysis, so Voltage Fist seems good. Now, it is on a stage 2, which is a little awkward, but it's a lightning type, so it's not too bad. And you can play this with like Monkey Dory and other healing cards to actually make this card not get KO'd every time you do Voltage Fist. So it's like the Articuno we had from the Silver Tempest set. It's a little bit harder to manage because it does have more going on as a stage 2, but it does have more HP. It can attack 3 times, and again, with cards like Monkey Dory and other healing cards, whatever, you can easily use Voltage Fist over and over and over again and paralyze lock your opponent, which is really good. Also, if you knock stuff out with Adrenaline Brain, you can actually bypass Voltage Fist's effect of knocking something out, which is really good, actually. So you don't give your opponent the ability to promote something for turn and get an attack. So you can always paralyze them, which I think is actually really strong. We get a new Mismagius EX. Now, this one is interesting. It's all about confusion with this card. It's got the ability Swirling Spell. This Pokemon is your active Pokemon. When your opponent switches in a new active Pokemon, it is now confused, which is interesting. Now, it doesn't have to be your active, which is a little awkward, but confusion is really strong because, like, obviously, there's a reason why Monkey Dory is so good right now. A lot of times, you can panic Mind Bend your opponent, and a lot of the time, it buys you a turn, or a lot of the time, it ends up being the reason why you win the game, which is crazy. So, Mismagius does have a good ability, kind of. It's got to be in the active spot, so you have to be using this card as your attacker. If it was on the bench, I mean, it would be a little too OP, to be honest, but it's, like, not a bad ability. Thankfully, the attack is playable for 2 Psychic. It does 150 damage, and you draw cards until you have 6 in your hand, I think, which is, like, not bad. I mean, it's like Blissey EX, right? Mismagius is kind of frail, though. 260 HP. The ability does give you a little bit of protection, though, which is nice. So we'll have to see on that one. There's a new Stadium we're getting, too, I think, alongside the Confusion. New Whimsicott here. Nothing too crazy. It does get to heal all damage from your bench Pokemon. This could be pretty funny on, like, a Mega, but I don't think it's, like, super amazing. New Zacian seems a little mediocre. It does have the attack limit break. If your opponent has 3 or fewer prize remaining, you do 140 damage. Not bad damage, but even a deck like Gardevoir does have better ways to do more damage, so I don't think you would ever want to use this new Zacian within a deck like Guardy. It's not bad, though, like I said, but I just think that it's kind of mediocre in Gardevoir. I don't think it would play it. Now, this Bramblegast might be good with the Mismagius. It's got the ability Panic Prison. When you place Pokemon from your hand to evolve when your Pokemon, you can leave your opponent's active confused, which is pretty good. This card does work with the Psychic Devolution card we already have in the format, which allows you to, like, reuse it. And again, being able to confuse your opponent's active is good. If your opponent has something big in the active spot, confusing it for free seems decent. Like, even if they have a Mist Energy attached, it ain't going to matter because it's through the ability, not attack. So maybe this card could be decent. Again, with the Psychic Devolution card in the format, you can actually reuse the ability, which actually does make it pretty playable, in my opinion, for sure. Paldean Tauros. Now, this card is actually kind of sick. So it's got Raging Charge for 1 Fight Energy. Does 4 damage for each of your Pokemon in play with Tauros in their name that have damage on them. Combine this with Risky Ruins, and you can actually donk your opponent. If you can put a bunch of Tauros on your bench turn 1 with the Risky Ruins in play, this attack's doing, like, potentially upwards of, like, 200 damage out of nowhere. Plus, you're fighting type, so you actually have a decent typing versus stuff like Kangaskhan and Iron Hands and stuff, which makes this card, in my opinion, a decent one-price deck. Risky Ruins really does activate the potential of this Tauros deck. And there's other Tauroses in the format, I think, that might have similar attacks. I can't remember exactly, but this card, I think, is quite cool. Again, it's a fighting type. You can play with Fighting Gong. You have Solrock Lunatone as a draw engine, if I guess. And then you also get Premium Power Pro to do even more damage. This card definitely can donk the opponent, which is kind of crazy. New Gliscor, Poison, Retreat Locks your opponent. It's like kind of mid on a stage 1. This new Flygon, though, is interesting. Flapping Sand. When you place Pokemon from your hand to evolve, when your Pokemon during your turn, or when this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from attack from your opponent's Pokemon, you can discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, which is actually pretty solid. Being able to mill the 2 cards when it evolves is not bad. There's really a good way to, like, reuse it, though. You can Turo it. You can use Scoop Up Cyclone, I guess, to, like, reuse it. But the ability definitely does seem decent. You get to use it, what, like twice when you evolve it and it gets knocked out. Its attack isn't like super strong. If there's like a Trap Introvert Bravo in the format with a decent second attack you can copy with Relicanth, maybe it's a little bit better. I don't know if you could really make anything more of a mill deck with this, unfortunately, but maybe. Um, New Weavile here with Claw of Retribution. This Pokemon has 50 HP or less, does 170 more damage. So you're swinging for 190 damage. So you can get damage on this thing pretty easily with the help of Toxtricity, which is, I think, how you're going to damage your Weavile. Other than that, though, I mean, this card's, like, fine. 190 for 2 energy is good, don't get me wrong. But then you're going to have 50 HP, so you're kind of at the mercy of, like, Monkeys and Phantom Dive. But it's definitely not bad. But I think there's better dark Pokemon you could utilize. Like, for example, the new Mega Sharpedo, which definitely will be good with Toxtricity. 330 HP, Stage 1 Pokemon with 2 attacks. Greedy Fangs, 1 Dark Energy, does 70 damage, and then you get to draw 2 cards. Really good first attack. I mean, drawing 2 cards isn't even that bad, because you're knocking out little Pokemon like Dreepies and Charmanders and Ralts, which seems good. Yeah, this is a pretty strong attack. I think you're knocking out Monkey Dories too, which is nice. And then you got the attack Hungry Jaw, that is 120 damage. If this Pokemon has any damage counters on it, you do 170 damage in total. Obviously, if you play this with Toxtricity, which will self-inflict damage on a Sharpedo with its ability to also power it up, you're just doing 270 damage. It's a hard-hitting Dark Stage 1 Pokemon. This card seems good. Again, you can play with Mega Gengar to make it a 1-prizer, which is nice. Definitely a lot of cool things you can do with Sharpedo. And the Toxtricity does enable this card. I think both attacks are strong. I think the first attack is actually really underrated. Snoosa Viper seems good with Toxtricity. It's got Excite Power. If you have any Mega Dark Pokemon in play, this attack can do 120 more damage. So you can swing for 240 damage. Now, you do need to get 3 Dark Energy on it. So you have to, like, double Toxtricity to it, plus attach for turn. But it does hit pretty hard, and 240 damage is nothing to scoff at. If you have a Monkey Dory on the board, you can do like 270 damage. I mean, it's definitely not bad. This is better than the Weavile, in my opinion, just because it's a basic Pokemon. It does eat more energy up, but it's pretty good regardless, and I like it. New Crocodile here, but actually we did get a new Crocodile EX revealed. It's not great, but keep in mind, if this Crocodile ever is good, you can use it with that one. It's got Revenge Fang that does 220 damage if one of your Pokemon got knocked out last turn. Probably the best Crocodile card we've had in a while. Even then, this card obviously won't see much play. But yeah, the new Toxtricity. Obviously, this card did come out in the Mega Gengar deck, so I'm sure y'all have already gotten your hands on this card and tried it out. Yeah, you got Bat Upper. Once you're in turn, search your deck for 1 basic Dark Energy and attach it to one of your bench Dark Pokemon. You got to put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. This ability is very, very strong because you're able to easily power up your Dark Pokemon like your Mega Gengars, and you can easily power up your other big Pokemon like the Sharpedo and whatnot. It's a great ability. It only works on the bench, so you do have to play this with like Petron EX or switches or whatnot, or Air Balloon pivots. But yeah, this card is great for dark decks, and it's nice to see dark types get even stronger. Just really good stuff. New Empoleon EX just dropped. It's a metal type Pokemon, not a water type. It's got the ability counter stance, prevent all effects of attacks done to this Pokemon. So that's nice. You can't be mind bended, and you can't get Phantom Dived on the bench, which is cool. And other notorious abilities or attacks. And then you got the attack Iron Phaser, does 210 damage. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon will take 60 less damage. This actually does give Empoleon a bit of bulk. I mean, it already has 320 HP, so it's effectively having 380 HP. That's how much damage your opponent needs to do to one-hit KO you. This card is okay. 210 damage is a little mid. I mean, it's decent numbers into, like, Kill Mask and stuff. I mean, pair this with the metal Pokemon. You can use it with Genesect to find it. You got Matang to build it up. It's not a bad card by any means. It's not great, though. There's Iron Defender in the format, though. Keep in mind. And there's a new stadium. Not a new stadium. There's an old stadium that lets you take less damage. So you could make a pretty beefy Empoleon deck with, like, Hero's Cape, Iron Defenders, Metal Lab. Honestly, could work. Definitely could be a fun one for sure. New Bronzong with Tool Drop. Does 4 damage for each tool on all your Pokemon. So another Tool Dropper just dropped. Now, it doesn't need 3 energy. If you're going to play this in the Rotom deck, you could play this with a Versal and Ignition. You could play this as your main attacker instead of the Rotoms. I don't know if you want to do that, though. I mean, this card does actually hit pretty hard, though, so maybe it's worth using Bronzong as your main attacker over just using the Rotoms themselves. But I can definitely see both working as its own deck, so not bad. It is a metal type, and you can use it with Ignition and Reverse Energy as your energy to attack. And you can do quite a bit of damage with the Rotom engine, so maybe it's okay. We have a new Duraludon. You can use this with Archaludon and Relicanth. I don't know if it's... I mean, Discard Energy is, like, okay, but I feel like sometimes swinging for 220... or using Raging Hammer is just better. We have a new 1-prize Archaludon with coded attack does 120 damage, and then it can be damaged next turn by basic Pokemon. I mean, it might be okay in the Archaludon deck. It does give you a really cool way to, like, wall off Pokemon. I find that, though, the one selling point about playing Archaludon already, though, it's already pretty good into big basic decks anyways. So, I don't know if you'd actually want to play this, unfortunately. We get another round Pokemon here with Wigglytuff. Combine this with Seismitoad, and you can actually make your Seismitoad or your Wigglytuff do more damage, as is 4 damage for each round Pokemon in play. So not a bad card for the round deck at all. Making a round a whole lot stronger isn't too bad, for sure. New Ambipom. I'm a fan of this card. It reminds me a lot of an old Dugong card, which I was a big fan of. Dual Tail. Discard Energy from this Pokemon to 60 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. A strong attack. Combine that with Hawlucha, Monkey Dory Pink with Frostlass. Pretty good stuff. You can use this with Ignition Energy, so you can easily power it up in a single turn, and you're getting some pretty good snipes off. And I was a big fan of the old Dugong. The old Dugong was a water type. It actually was relevant against Bullcephalon at the time, which is why I liked it. But this card is definitely good in my opinion, and I do think that it is pretty fine. I don't know if it'll be as good as Dugong, but it's like pretty decent. We have a new Linoon here with Excite Dash. If this Pokemon's on your bench, you have a Mega Pokemon EX in play, you can use the ability and switch it with your active Pokemon. So this is how you're going to use, potentially, the brand new Mega Lopunny. Now, this card, in my opinion, I mean, I think it's the best EX in the set. I think it's better than Charizard. I think it's better than Heracross. I think it's better than all the Megas in the set, which might be a bit of a hot take, but I do think Mega Lopunny is the best card in the set because of how universally powerful it is. It's a colorless-type Pokemon with the attack Gale Thrust. For 1 colorless energy, when this Pokemon moves from your bench to the active this turn, you can do 230 damage for 1 energy. This card is insane. I mean, it's knocking out all the big basics. It's a wall breaker, so it can literally knock out a Cornerstone Ogerpon. So you can put this in a deck like Charizard or Goldengo, and you can immediately deal with Cornerstone. This card is ridiculous. This is such a good card. Even the second attack, Spike Hopper, shreds through your opponent's active. So if you're not carrying the Cornerstone somehow with the first attack, you can use second attack also. And it goes through Crustle. Yeah, this Lopunny is very good. In my opinion, this is the best EX in the set. It's the best. I actually think it might be the best card in the set. It's just that good of an attacker. It's very versatile and splashable in a lot of decks, and its value is really high. Being able to swing for 230 out of nowhere is really good. You can even play this by itself as its own deck, like a Poison Lopunny deck with Jets and stuff. Could be really good. I think this card is genuinely a very good card, and definitely the highlight of the set. This is like the one EX you're going to want to get your hand on. Like, out of all the Megas in the set, like, if you're not looking to build Charizard or whatever, you have to probably get yourself a couple of Lopunnies, because this card is genuinely that good. Just an insanely good card. It's weak to fighting, so it gets caught in the crossfire of, like, Kangaskhan. But, like, still, like, bro, this card is nuts. So, so good. And, yeah, this insanely good card. Broken card for sure. Into some items now. We got Jumbo Ice Cream. Heal 80 damage from your active Pokemon that has 3 or more energy attached to it. Another really powerful card. There's a lot of decks that can really utilize this card. Obviously, like big tanky megas like Absol and Kangaskhan really like this card, but this is also really good with tank Pokemon like Cornerstone, Ogerpon, and Crustle, which all will need 3 energy on them to do stuff, which makes them even harder to KO. This is actually a very annoying card because healing 80 is a lot of damage. If you already have like a Monkey Dory or 2 on the board, you're healing like 140 damage out of nowhere, which is insane. A lot of the time, that's resetting the damage you're doing. So all of a sudden, Baby Goldengo becomes a pretty bad attacker at dealing with Cornerstone and Crustle. That's why the Lopunny is so freaking good, because all these like Crustle Cornerstone counters decks like Goldengo and Charizard would play are kind of nullified because of the power of Jumbo Ice Cream. With Lopunny, you know, they don't care. You just Lopunny them and Spike Hopper or one-shot the Cornerstone. That's why the Lopunny is so good. Otherwise, this card would be kind of problematic for wall decks, in my opinion. But it's also really good with Kangaskhan and Absol and whatnot. Kangaskhan specifically will really like this card. Like the Kangaskhan Fortress Acerola deck will probably really enjoy Jumbo Ice Cream. Heat Burner is also pretty good. Discard a basic fire energy from your hand, and then you can choose a tool, a special energy, or a stadium in play that your opponent has and discard it. Really strong card. You can get rid of Luminous Energy, Neo Upper Energy, Mist Energy. You can get rid of tool cards like Bravery Charm, or you can get rid of the Stadium card, which is really good. There's a new Stadium coming out, which we'll talk about in just a sec, that probably rivals Lopunny as being the best card in the set. But yeah, this is a great card. Really good within Charizard, really good within Ceruledge. Just in general, a very powerful card. It's like Lost Vacuum, basically. Sacred Charm is kind of cool. The Pokemon this card's attached to takes 30 less damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon with any ability, so you can make a Pokemon even bulkier by slapping this on. I mean, most Pokemon in the format right now have an ability. Charizard EX, Goldengo EX, Gardevoir EX, Kangaskhan EX, bro, so many options. Like, this card seems decent. There are better options, though, like, in general. Like, if you're playing this within, like, a Mega deck, you're probably rather Bravery Charm instead, but not a bad card at all, nonetheless. Grimsley's move is good. Now, this card is already out on live, so I'm sure you've already played it, like I said. But this is still a good card. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Choose a dark Pokemon you find there and put it onto your bench. Broken card, you can play this with all kinds of dark Pokemon, like Gengar, Hydreigon EX, Charizard EX. Though I don't know if you're going to want to put a Charizard in play. But this card does seem pretty solid nonetheless. Some really cool things you can do with it. So I'm excited to experiment with the Grimsley's Move card more going into the future, because it is pretty playable, and getting a free Stage 2 Dark Pokemon in play seems kind of busted. Play with like Academy at Night, right, to like rig the top deck. Dawn, again, another card that already is out on live, but it's pretty dang good. Search check for a basic Pokemon, a Stage 1 Pokemon, a Stage 2 Pokemon, put them in your hand. Broken card, this gets you like the entire evolution line for Dragapult or Dusknoir or Gardevoir, or even gets you the entire evolution line for a Meganium deck. So you can play this with Meganium, Vitality Force is in play. You can turn a Secret Box effectively into like a Meganium, because you go Secret Box for Stadium plus Dawn out the evolution line, and then evolve it right away. So yeah, Dawn is really good, a really good supporter card. One of the other better cards in the set, besides like the Lopunny, and another card we're going to look at in just a moment. Fire Breather is also very strong. This is a good card, actually, with that new Sarah Ledge we just got. Search check for 7 basic Fire Energy and put them in your hand. That is ridiculous. That is so strong. Getting 7 fires is nuts. Now, this card is already really good with Sarah Ledge, right? You grab all the energy for the attack, you can use it with the Sarah Ledge EX. This card also is really good with Goldango EX, because you can effectively, it's like an Energy Search Pro for Goldango, which is kind of nuts if you think about it. You just grab 7 fires out of the deck, just play an all-fire Goldango deck. This card is nuts, man. Also good with the new Mega Charizard and Oricorio. Let's not forget about that. Yeah, really strong supporter card. It's actually, I think all the supporters in this set are actually playable, which is crazy. There's not a single unplayable supporter in this set. They're all good. I mean, there's only 3 of them, but still, like, this card is that good. Like, they're all pretty solid supporter cards. All right. This is rivaling as the best card in the set. Battle Coliseum, the Monkey Dory counter we all wanted. Prevent all damage counters from being placed on a bench Pokemon both near your opponents by the effects of attacks or abilities, which is crazy. This like nerfs Dragapult even more. Like, it stops Phantom Dive, which is kind of funny, but it also stops Adrenabrain from working on the bench, which is really, really good, because now your opponent can't spread damage on your bench Pokemon. It's like a mini Path of the Peak. Also, it stops Frostlass, which is good. It stops Hawlucha, which is good. It really slows down Dragapult, Grimmsnarl, and Guardy. These damage spread decks do get nerfed, which I think is a big thumbs up. Again, the main thing with this card is it stops Monkey Dory, which will be a big deal. And yeah, this is a great card. Now, the problem is it's a stadium, so your opponent does have ways around it. They can simply like have counter stadiums in their hand and bump it and still use Adrenabrain. I would expect Gardevoir will start playing 3 to 4 stadiums if this card actually picks up in popularity when it comes out, and Gardevoir doesn't have to worry about it. I'm sure Guardy will just up their stadium count. But Battle Coliseum is really, really good, and I think one of the best cards within the set by far. Definitely one you want to get a playset of, because it is just that good. I mean, stopping Monkey Dory is very important, but also, like I said, it does hurt Dragapult. Imagine having Psyduck and Battle Coliseum in play against Dragapult. It's like the biggest FU to Dragapult I've ever seen. All right, Vertigo Valley is the last card we got to look at here. Confuse Pokemon both near your opponent. Don't recover from confusion when they evolve or de-evolve, which is not great or terrible. I mean, it's like okay. I mean, you can confuse a Charmander and it will still stay confused, you evolve into Charizard, but I don't know if you're ever really going to utilize that. I think this card is kind of mediocre. Even if you play it in like a Mismagius deck with the Bramblegast, it's like fine. Like, I don't even think you'd want to play this with Monkey Dory, you know what I mean? So, a pretty mediocre stadium card overall, I want to say. But that was that. Again, the Gengar and Diancie stuff we already have out on live. Like, not really anything to talk about with these cards because they're already out. But that was the entire set review. Again, this is a bit of a smaller set. There's only like a couple of megas in the set compared to before, but the set is decent. I mean, out of all the cards, I mean, there wasn't anything that like stood out as like trash and unplayable in terms of like the, you know, megas and stuff. The EXs are all like semi-playable at the very worst, and, you know, the set does have some good supporters and trainer cards overall. So the set is good, and it is a bit of a tinier set with only 94 cards in it, which is kind of crazy, but still a fine set regardless. I think it will shake up the game quite a bit, even though it is quite small. The deck is quite fire, I gotta say. But that'll be for me on my Phantasmal Flames set review. Let me know what you thought of it down below. What is your favorite card from the set? What do you think is the best card from this new set? I would like to know in the comment section below. Catch you in another video very soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.